Welcome to Tech Evolved. If you enjoy this content, then please like and subscribe to the channel. Also consider becoming a part of the Discord community. Link in the description.
In today's video, I'm going to give my honest thoughts, feelings and opinions and hopefully create a discussion about why I will not be buying probably the next COD in this series. Now, the objective of this video is not actually to bash on your favorite video game, because you may really like the two games that we're speaking about here today. No, it's really just to give my thoughts and honest opinion of the things that have been annoying me about COD recently, or issues that I've had with this series recently that have just kind of jaded my experience as a player. We will be focusing today on gameplay, but I do also want to point out as a disclaimer that I do actually really enjoy these games, playing them in custom with friends or playing them with other YouTubers that I've met here on this channel. I'm not here to lie to you and tell you that everything is bad about Cold War, because that just isn't the truth. And the same for MW. I've actually really enjoyed making the gameplays. I do believe that the games do have something to offer, however I wouldn't be making this video, well, if there wasn't a flip side to all of this and there wasn't some issues to actually point out. Because I've been recently playing a lot of custom games with the likes of Nasty Blasty, Biz Gaming, Big G Angel and the gang, for me this only really helped me come to a decision of whether or not I wanted to actually make this video, because for me it's shown the best and the highs of COD, but it's also highlighted the issues for me and really refreshed my memory on things that I didn't really like about the games going back to. It's at this point that I'd like to point out the gameplay for today's video is actually from those custom games, and I'll leave links to the channels of the guys that I've just mentioned. It's at this point also that I would like to address that some of the issues that will be talked about today can actually be rectified and fixed by going into custom. Okay, so let's talk about the main issue, which actually branches off into different issues, but I will also cover those sub-issues too, probably in the interest of not making the video too long, not too much in detail. This is the mystery that seems to surround COD games when it comes to updates. Now, to be fair, they do give us a list of the things that have been changed, but I feel like it's not totally the truth. There's some shadow changes going on as well, and a lot of the time it feels like some of the changes that can happen within patch updates, as well as seasonal updates, can actually negatively impact the gaming experience. For instance, in MW19's multiplayer, I've recently been finding some issues when connecting a controller. That is functionality that has been there from the get-go, and this only actually started happening since the recent Warzone update. What I was experiencing in my game was freezing, hitching, stuttering, just generally feeling laggy and sluggish. But this was only happening when the controller was actually connected. It actually made it really impossible to try and play the game, especially when I'm playing custom with other YouTubers. God damn, it was hard. A lot of the time it feels like major updates break the game, and then they've got to do lots of little patches in order to actually fix it. Now, these issues don't exactly show up for everyone. Sometimes glitches can only show up for a few people, but a lot of the time it feels like I'm always the unlucky one that gets these issues. Other issues that I have relating to patch updates is the constant tweaking of nerfing, buffing and changing guns, and a lot of the time it feels like the changes actually negatively impact the gunplay. This happens in both MW and Cold War, but MW kind of suffers with the problem of every gun being overpowered because of the fast time to kill in the game, so the gunplay actually kind of balances itself out weirdly in that regard. However, changing things like SMGs, tactical rifles, snipers, assault rifles, LMGs in Cold War, well man, cause there's slightly slower time to kill in the game, although it feels a lot faster now. It feels like the time to kill is actually faster in Cold War than beta, although that's a whole different kind of conspiracy, and is a whole new discussion to open up and needs to actually be researched before I do a video on that. Anyway, what I'm getting at is that little tweaks and little changes to, say, one class of weapon or one individual SMG, let's say, could actually have a much bigger impact because of the slower time to kill. I feel like most of the changes aren't factored in relative to all the different guns in the game, and this actually can alienate a class of player, because I actually didn't find anything wrong with the open betas version of the gun meta. In fact, it was one of the strongest gun metas that I saw, well, in a very long time when it comes to COD and its arcade FPS nature. With all the changes that they have made though, SMGs can now fight and compete with assault rifles in mid-range. Snipers have needed a nerf for a long time because they are overpowered. Now this is mainly due to the lack of flinch in the game, and well, obviously the attachment system in Cold War helps you to negate more flinch as well. The only single change to the gun meta that I've actually agreed with was the tactical rifle nerf. Everything else has just seemed, well, like, why? In the open beta, I said it actually felt like it was rewarding accurate players. However, nowadays it just seems like whatever gun is trending, whatever gun is popular by Treyarch standards that actually ended up getting a buff that week, that will be the gun that you use because that's the gun that's going to win all the gunfights, and that is where your advantage comes from, not the actual skill to play properly. I said on this channel that I was going to keep you up to date with what was happening in Cold War. A lot of you would have noticed that I did the Season 1 video and then I didn't bother. This is honestly because I didn't want to make it just a series of me moaning about things, really, because that's what changing gunplay for the worst does to me. It makes me moan. The next thing we're moving on to is the hit detection and the way that has been changed within the updates too. The updates somehow managed to make the hit detection even worse, and this has been going on since Season 1, I would say. Now, some people have rightly pointed out that they use a ballistic model for the hit detection, meaning that things like bullet velocity actually do greatly impact the gameplay. However, there is some nonsense when it comes to hit detection on PC, and the reason why I can tell you this is because I do own MW on both the console and also PC too. And if you do remember in my open beta video of Cold War, I did say the hit detection was actually kind of nice. There didn't seem to be any compensation for console or PC. However, since the Season 1 update for Cold War, this seems to also now be a factor and an issue once again here. There does in fact seem to be some hit detection compensation, and as some YouTubers have pointed out, some ping manipulation for the better players. Even playing with other keyboard and mouse players like Mr. Nasty Blasty, you will actually see on his stream that he's hitting shots that are not landing. There is a ghosting of bullets in this game, and I also do experience that on the PC port of both MW and also Cold War. I guess the only thing that they managed to get fair in all of this, that there isn't just a disadvantage to good PC players, but there's also a disadvantage to a good console player. The COD community here on YouTube have made plenty of videos about this. Some people call it aim resist. This is where the aim assist just randomly works against you, literally points your gun to Africa and deliberately makes you, like, well, lose gunfights. As a player that uses a controller for COD games on PC, I feel like I'm getting the short end of, like, both of these situations. And I also want to point out, as someone that reviews a lot of PC games, I've never seen anything like this before in my life when it comes down to nonsense. A lot of these things could be explained by either bad netcode, also desyncing issues across crossplay, because honestly I find the majority of problems in crossplay. Even the hit detection consistency is changed when actually using a keyboard and mouse in a keyboard and mouse lobby, which it actually feels like shot detection consistency is actually a thing when I enter those types of lobbies. Hit detection consistency in FPS games is of vital importance, especially when it comes to more twitchy shooters like COD. So it does annoy me when I lose gunfights to systems that are in place that are just not implemented well, such as the hit detection consistency, random changes of the gun meta, or random compensation depending on what skill level you belong to, and also what platform you belong to. Wow, this video is actually going to be longer than I thought, but we're now moving on to the next point here, and as you can see, when it comes to updates, it really does change my subjective opinion about the game. However, the next point is on the scoring system within this game. It's actually backwards. For some reason, this game actually favors extra points for actually going on a longer kill streak rather than implementing bonuses for objective play. In short, what this means is that a player is not going to favor trying to push an objective and actually win the game. Instead, they're going to sit further back on the map farming kills because that's where the reward is. Objective play was already an issue when it comes to COD games. People not playing the objective is one thing that really annoys people, and rightly so, especially in these team games like Domination, Hardpoint, even Kill Confirmed. But Cold War actually gives people the incentive to do that and actually rewards them for doing so, which is actually mental. In no way, shape or form should I be able to get most eliminations, have the highest objective score, and do the most damage in Domination and still only be second on the scoreboard, only because one player sat at the back and farmed 15 kills. What the hell is that all about, really? Come on. If the scoring system is even remotely like this in the next COD game, I will tell you right now, I am not buying it. That would straight be a no sale for me. Because you've got to enjoy the game, and well, the way that I enjoy is by pushing the objective. Run and gun has always been a part of COD for me. I've always had that playstyle at heart. However, I don't want it to completely favor spray and pray, obviously. I want it to be run and gun with skillful elements, like actually favoring accuracy. It looks like I can never get that COD though. It just feels like my playstyle's always out of luck whatever I do. If I go into Cold War, then well, it's not going to favor my objective gameplay. If I go into MW, for instance, I'm just going to be faced with a wall of campers. Obviously, there is a way to counter them, and that's also a part of the fun, but this also further enforces the update part of this video, in which I say, why are you focusing on like little tweaks when it comes to the gunplay and ruining the meta there and not actually fixing the scoring system within the game? I'm just saying. Okay, so at this point I would like to point out also that I do play a lot of custom games, and some of these issues with like hit detection consistency seem to actually not be a case there. It's why I really do enjoy it when playing Cold War, when playing custom games. However, we're going to move on now to my main point, and that most issues that I have is with the public part of the game. Going into public matches actually feels like more of a headache than actually having fun nowadays. I'm also not enjoying the zombie experience as much as I used to. This is because the alienation for the old school survival style player, which again is myself. It feels like these games are definitely working more towards the Easter egg and the completion of the Easter egg, giving the player as much things as possible, kind of making the players overpowered in a certain sense. And it feels very objective based, not just survival. I want it to go back to its core roots of like the older days. Not to say that zombies is completely bad, because it does hold its place. I've just been a bit fed up of the way the game changed from say Black Ops 3 to 4. And some of those issues do still carry over to Cold War, I believe. I actually don't play much of the single player or co-op game modes, and my main reason for buying Cold War in the first place was actually because of the multiplayer. This is because in the past I have really enjoyed playing publicly. However, if the previous issues about updates and everything about the hit detection, issues with the gunplay isn't already enough, here on PC there is even a bigger problem. This is the obvious blatant hackers and cheaters in the COD community. Now, I'm not just talking about your wall hackers, your aimbotters. This is the amount of Cronus, Zen, and Max users throughout the COD community. Man, there is a ton of you guys. And quite honestly, if you're using one, like, come on guy, just get good at the game. I find it more insulting as a player that's took his time over the years to learn recoil patterns, to actually get good at FPS games, for someone to come in and use a device like that to compensate for the lack of skill. Also, with the auto-aiming capabilities and other scripts that you can install on that device, and this isn't a small thing by the way, a lot of people do this. If you want a fair gunfight in multiplayer games nowadays, it just isn't going to happen, and even more so in the Call of Duty community. They do get used a lot in other games too, even more so in COD, believe me. But anyway, I think that sums up a lot of my thoughts and feelings about maybe not buying the next COD game. I don't particularly play a lot of the campaign co-op kind of game modes, don't really play zombies that much nowadays. I'm not enjoying the public experience at all with this game, especially with the SBMM, because if you're good enough to hit your shots and actually be a decent player, then you're going to get thrown into a lobby with a lot of cheaters, especially if you are on PC. So the question I have to ask myself, and I think the viewers have to ask themselves too, is it worth you investing your time knowing this knowledge? Is it worth you investing in the next COD just to have history repeat itself all over again? Obviously, being a review channel that gives his thoughts, feelings and opinions, and that's the nature of this channel, I try not to completely write off a series. However, personally for me, it is leaning more towards me not getting the next game. Who knows, the devs might actually listen to us, the voice of the community that actually care about the game and actually care care about the series. But I also do want to point out that no anti-cheat system in the world can detect something like a Cronus Zen, so the likelihood of things changing and my overall thoughts and feelings changing is probably quite low. But anyway, if you enjoyed today's video, then please smash that like button for me. Also get subscribed to the channel if you are new, especially if you got all the way to this part in the video. That must mean that you really do care about this subject matter, because let's face it, you're not staying for my voice. Comment down below any of your thoughts and feelings about this subject. Maybe there's a big issue that I haven't pointed out. Maybe you agree with some points. Maybe you disagree with some points. Let's have a discussion down in the comments. I do try and reply to everyone. Well, I reply to those who are kind, not cowardly. In other words, don't be toxic. With that said, I've been Jaguar from Tech Evolved, and I will see you in the next video.
Guys, look down, it's a zoo. That's all I say, it's a bloody zoo. It's a zoo. That's all I say. Look, we got 2 full teams. No, they steal a place.